Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of Aspire to Inspire, a show where we really dig in deeply and celebrate individuals who are changing the world, changing their communities one life at a time. And I'm your host, Dr. Jennifer Blaylock, Chief Energy Officer of Ingenuity Solutions. And boy, do we have a great show for you tonight. First of all, I've got a co-host tonight, a partner in crime, my day one retired Brigadier General Vince Buggs, and the CEO of Embrace the Power. Vince, say hi to everybody.
Hey guys, what's going on? Hey, Justin, it's great to have you here tonight, and discuss, mental illness and a lot of topics that are, pertinent in the 21st century. But hey, welcome.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Yes.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
So I'm going to share just a little bit of Dr. Justin Dorenzo's incredible background. So bear with me, everybody. There's a lot, but we want to share why he's so special. Real quickly, he holds a distinction held by only 5% of psychologists nationally. He is a former active duty Navy psychologist and is a highly regarded national expert in psychology, committed to exceeding the standards of that. He does executive coaching, helps you with your business, helps you elevate in sports, and really takes just your whole life, your relationships, which we're going to get into tonight, to a whole other level. So Dr. Dorenzo, how are you tonight? You're in Jacksonville, I'm in Savannah, and Vince is in Tampa. What's good in Jacksonville? How are you?
I mean, I'm just enjoying this cooler weather. I'm doing great, and just happy to be here this evening. We're all not burning the midnight oil, but everybody else is home, and we're still cooking. Right?
That's right.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
Well, I love it. Well, you do some incredible stuff, and we're going to feature your website here in a minute, but you are the author of a book that has two names, but one incredible purpose. And essentially, it's to help individuals figure out how to not ruin their lives. What inspired that book from all of your wealth of experience, particularly in the mental health field? And what are we doing wrong? Why are we all so concerned about how to not F it up?
Yeah. So, well, I mean, I wrote this book to try to get put the science together about how relationships work, like what it takes. And what I found was, like, there are certain traits that we value universally, like across the globe. So I wanted to see what the science said about that. So, and I came up with 20 different traits that were most highly valued to kind of teach people to be, because you want the best person. But, I learned, I didn't just learn this, but I'm trying to give people a guide of what it takes to be the best person. Like, these are the things you need to have if you want the relationship that you're really fantasizing about. And then you also, in terms of, to have a successful relationship, you have to have one that you are compatible with. So I research what the 20 factors are, related to compatibility. So, because usually that's what causes relationships to fail, where people are not with the right person, right? And you stay in a relationship longer than you need to be. And, there's something called the sunk cost fallacy, where, I know you guys know what that is, but, people hang on to a relationship because they've spent so much time and they think that I'm going to love this person a little more, give it a little more. And it just keeps extending. And then I talk about this other thing, this IKEA fallacy. It's another cognitive distortion where we value things more that we've built ourselves, right? Like IKEA furniture is okay, right? But we think if we built it, it's even more powerful and has higher value. And we do the same things with relationships, even though our friends are like, get rid of this person. But we're like, but they're amazing, right? Even though they're not good for us. So,
and I know all three of us are social media mavens. I don't know if you've seen this, but a guy named Zach Bryan, he's a country singer. He broke up with his girlfriend. He actually, real quick story about that. He is a country singer who's trending right now. He's doing great stuff, but he got his start. He was in the Navy in Jacksonville, and he was doing some YouTube stuff. He's actually really great. He's in the top charts of country music, but at any rate, he broke up with his girlfriend via social media, meaning he announced it. She wakes up, and so she's gone viral. She's crying, and oh my God. And so her thing was, and I want to hear what you guys think about this, that she loved this man. You ready for the word? unconditionally.
Mm.
And you just talked about staying with somebody, you know, and knowing it's not the right thing. And I think we've romanticized, and I've fallen for it as well, the idea of, but I love so-and-so completely. And, you know, no matter what is the difference between having the strength to know when it's time to walk away from a relationship and loving somebody unconditionally? He's laughing. He's ready to take this one.
I am. I want to hear. I want to hear what the Brigadier General thinks about that.
All right, let's hear it, Vince.
When you look at the Zach situation or the unconditional love situation, is that everyone's always trying to look for that perfect love. Sadly, I had to say that when we live in such a superficial environment in Western society, I think it gets skewed when we let outside sources get involved. But, you know, I think the struggle right now is if we compare the 80s, because I'm almost 60, so you compare like the 80s to now, I think we had a little bit more pure love in the 80s.
We had more rom-coms for sure. I'll say that. But tell us what is that fine line, and how can we? I mean, is it an ideal? Is it?
I mean, you know, it's an ideal, right? I mean, if it was, I mean, unconditional, you know, I don't think there's any such thing as unconditional love, except between a parent and a child.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, if you're in an intimate relationship with someone that you like, a family member that you're choosing, it's conditional. Like, you both have a responsibility to fulfill certain obligations and be that person who they were initially attracted to, and that you're still fulfilling all those expectations. So, because if you're not willing to, you know, I mean, other than like being sick or, you know, having some other issue, you know, certainly you need to be there to be committed, but you got to bring other things to the table. So we are so idealistic, right? And there's just so much focus on feeling and what's, you know, basically, I mean, how we feel and being happy and getting our needs met. And, you know, I don't know where some of these expectations come from, that it's supposed to be true love, but, you know, it is part of the you know, it's the media and TV.
So let me ask you a question, you know, not to cut you off, let me ask you this. So what do you think?
I needed to be cut off, though.
No, I'm sorry. I apologize. So what do you think the shift to this ideology is, and what factors do you think play into it? Because you talk to people all the time, and as you've looked at this and done analysis, and you've done your research, because you got your doctorate, you've had to look at trends of how we got where we are today, because the high level of suicides in the age bracket of 20 to 35 is high, and it's considered, and it's emotionally based. And what makes you think, what are the trends you think that cause this unconditional love? Now, I do have unconditional love for my dog, so we're going to let you know that. All right, but go ahead.
So, you know, the trends of marriage certainly have changed, right? Throughout many, you know, through the eons. But, you know, even 100 years ago, it was about bringing families together, right? Like, often parents people wouldn't even know who their spouses were. I mean, families would be connecting the bride and the groom together. So, and then we have, you know, marriage is now a choice, and it is about this ideal love. It's about love. All of a sudden, it never, you know, even 50 years ago, it wasn't necessarily about love. Like, people stayed together no matter what. But today, you know, we have this message that it is about finding that unique, special person, that soulmate, which is a fallacy. So even though I know my wife, I hurt her feelings when she's like, "Am I, you know, your soulmate?" And I'm like, "Honey, I mean, you are technically my soulmate, but there are probably other people out there that would be a good fit too, you know, for you as well as for me." I mean, if we're really looking at the data. So, but you know, the way that we're wired, though, I mean, we were wired to only be exposed to like 30 potential mates, 30 to 60 potential mates. I mean, we were for thousands of years in tribes, right? Where we didn't even interact with other tribes. So now the choices are endless, right? And we just like haven't adapted to all these messages and all these available partners. So I think that adds to lots of pressure in relationships too, because we're always thinking, oh, look, there's somebody even better. Before there was nobody ever better. Like we maxed out, right, in the tribe. So, but now there's all this social comparison too, which then affects us mentally too, even if we move away from the relationship stuff, right, just to get attention too.
Yeah. So, and you actually bring up an interesting point that I was thinking about as well, because a lot of your work is about, you know, I know you do marriage and relationship counseling, but you also do a fair amount of working with individuals and coaching them, helping them to reach their best selves. Are we so broken individually or so unwilling to kind of work on ourselves that we're looking for other people to fix us? How do you feel like, you know, with some of our own mental health issues and not addressing some of those things, are we even ready for relationships, you know, in a very general way?
Well, I mean, I think this is about personal responsibility, because we are, you know, in this Uber Eats, right? Uber, Facebook. So, you know, this Snapchat world, Instagram. I mean, we can get, or Facebook Marketplace, we can get whatever we want, right? So I think that we have lost some of the responsibility that things take work. And I know, Dr. Blaylock, we talked about this a few weeks ago, you know, during my presentation for the group, just where, you know, people like, you know, workers and employees, they feel that they, you know, they do the bare minimum and think that they should move to the next level. Right. And this is the youth of today, not understanding the hard work that it takes to be successful. And that means like at your job, that means in your relationship, that means like being personally satisfied. You know, that all takes effort, but they're used to just picking up the phone and getting a quick fix, right? And that is their reality. And I think, you know, the truth is evolving, where, you know, we're having all these, you know, these people that are they're not adaptive either.
Well, but Doc, you have to look at, I mean, like some of the skill sets that you're supposed to inherit from your parents, and we have more fatherless homes, or we have single parent homes, which is, I think, paying, you know, have some influence on childhood trauma, and some of this is brought forward to the workplace now. And I mean, after 30 years in the military, you know, we had a lot of ideations with people that never went to combat. And so they were bringing emotional baggage. And then you talk about the workplace, bringing emotional baggage. But what I'm trying to make sure I get a grip on right now as you're talking is there have been these trigger warnings and tipping points way before we got to where we are today. And there was never no buffers put in place to kind of mitigate that, because we have an entitled society. And going back to kind of on the relationship side, locally, we would date who was in our local area.
Sure.
So if you were 6, 5, or 3, or 2, nobody cared. Everybody dated who was in the local area.
Yeah.
Then when internet was evolved into social media, and now people could talk to someone in Iceland.
Yeah.
And and mentally their value goes up, even though we still know that that person is a 5 or 6 in Oklahoma where we're at. But you're 10 in Iceland. You follow what I'm saying? And I'm not trying to digress on this, but it carries into the workplace, is that people look at their value and equate their value, but it's kind of delusional, because they haven't put the work in or the time in to get to the positions they want. And I'll pause there.
Yeah.
I think I was just going to say, Justin, it goes to exactly what you were saying. I always tell people we're in a fast food society. I want to drive through and get my order. And so that's how relationships have become. Like what you answered, and I know what you're getting at, Vince. You know, if you're not over 6'2" or 6'3" on the, you know, the online dating things, that's become a phenomenon. Women want to know how tall men are, but it's the same thing with men, by the way. You know, and so I would say that we almost have this idea that by creating more opportunities, we can customize exactly what we think is the perfect relationship or the perfect job, right? Because we do think we're entitled. So, Dr. Lorenzo, I would ask you. when we have that mentality, will we ever be happy or satisfied?
No, I mean, we won't. And I mean, it's interesting, you know, that whole 6 foot phenomenon too, right? Because I mean, it's like in 80% of profiles. I mean, for 80% of women, that's important that a guy is at least 6 feet, right? And that is like above average, right? And of course, it's a sign of, you know, it could be a sign of virility and health and protection and providing resources and all these things, right? And I've had so many women that I've been trying to help, you know, coach and find partners. And they, you know, that is what they're rattling off to me in the beginning. You know, the millennials and Generation Z, right? Or
Yeah,
right?
it's Z. Yeah.
And I'm like, what about like a person that's kind, right? That's gonna be respectful and be conscientious, you know, and love you back. So it is like we are trying to customize who we want, and that's not how it works. I mean, because we're often attracted to things that we don't realize that we're attracted to either. It's not just these superficial I want to say like strong men that I mean the same thing could be like, you know, for what guys are looking for too, right? When they're looking for the perfect looking woman. You know, somebody that looks like Kim Kardashian, right? And they're they're gonna pass any other woman that you know doesn't meet that standard. So because they're on their feed and they think all these girls look that way, but those are, you know, those girls are those ladies are the you know, the outliers.
Absolutely. Or the ones who are able to get those cosmetic procedures,
Yeah.
right? So the
Yeah.
BBLs and the whatever.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So as we approach, you know, really living a fulfilling life, and you put these 20, or you identify these 20 different, you know, characteristics or behaviors. Once we read the book and Vince and I know all the 20 things we're supposed to do, how do we take what we've learned and actually make it happen? Because it's so hard to change our behaviors. Where do we start?
I mean, that's like the $1 million question. So I'm going to go back a little bit, and I'm going to say like the messages that we teach people, like they have to be like whatever they do, they have to find something. I think this will answer this question, but the message that we give to young people is that they need to pick a career or a person, all these things that will fulfill them, right? But the truth is, the fulfillment comes in the journey, like in the effort, you know, in the hard work. That's where we find meaning. So you find that later, not, you know, it's like putting the cart before the horse. So you have to find out who you are and find something meaningful and you know, devote your life to it, and then more meaning comes and more pleasure comes when, you know, you master whatever you're doing. I mean, that's where we feel empowered.
You know, when you kind of base it that way, but you know, it's like my daughters, we have this conversation. I tell them their generation wants what takes 40 years to build.
Yeah. Now.
So
right
now,
now.
and I'm like, you don't realize it took 30 years to get here. It didn't take overnight. You had to work at McDonald's. You had to be a janitor, a bouncer. You know, there's just the different things that I've had to do. But when I also look at the generation right now in the workplace and ethics, my biggest problem right now overall when it comes to the work environment is having some form of ethics. And it seems like the ethics are a thing of the past. And it's about, what do I need to do to get ahead? What's the shortcut? Everybody thinks there is a Google hack to getting promoted.
Yeah.
And that is a struggle right now for a lot of people. And I mean, and a lot of people actually, and then feedback. So let me go a little step further. So when you have to have the uncomfortable conversation with a millennial or a Gen Z on feedback, it becomes a personal vendetta in their perspective. And why is that?
I'm going to say something real quickly here. As someone who works in HR and works with individuals, that defies age at this point. It has become a societal premise of how we personalize any sort of feedback. And so I would add, but I'm going to toss it back to you. I was just going to say, I'm taking out the generations. As a society, we have really become very resistant to feedback. without personalizing it.
Mm-hmm. It all right. I mean, constructive criticism is criticism, right? And I think, the message for people, and what I tell people, young people too, where it does take a career. I mean, it takes a career to get to where you want to be. It's the power of compounding, right? I mean, it's like those little things, little investments, from years ago. Because I'm 51 now, right? And now people want to talk to me, right? Or they consider what I say, even though it's probably the same thing that I was saying 30 years ago. But it's that power of compounding and the experiences and just the knowledge, like that only comes with time, right? Just like you can't just make $1 million today, right? But $1 million, you invest a little bit of money every day in hard work, there will be a payoff.
Yes.
Right. So, but it's because of Andrew Tate. I'm going to blame Andrew Tate too. Cause
no, I knew you didn't go.
I mean, I got a 20-year-old son that's like sending me videos because he's in college too. And he's like telling me, Dad, I mean, maybe is college a waste of time? Like, why am I?
Oh yeah. They're on that they're on that rhetoric right now.
And I'm like, no, I mean, nobody's going to want to do business if you don't have knowledge. And
right.
You get knowledge first in college, and then you'll be able to have business deals. You're not going to nobody's going to take you seriously now. Andrew Tate's just advertising and making money and selling to you.
I will tell you,
money.
Yep. I just saw an article on this as well. And I work with teens in a variety of capacities, but 9 out of 10, I'm exaggerating a little, but want to be influencers.
Yeah.
And they believe by being a social media influencer, which doesn't take a college degree or those kind of things, they're going to make 6 to 7 figures because they see that in the mainstream media. Yeah. I would say one question I really wanted to ask, Justin, you do so much. You work with veterans, you work with couples, you have so many certifications. You are the epitome of a lifelong learner and someone who has an innate sense of curiosity and wanting to strive for something better. Do you think people naturally have that, or is that something that can be cultivated, number one? And number two, what drives or motivates you? How are you like that? What's your secret sauce?
Yeah, so I think that I think that, I think you're born with that secret sauce. I mean, it can be cultivated, but I think some people have it and some people don't. And I mean, this is the struggle, right? Because especially like as parents, we're all parents here, and some kid, I mean, you see like even your kids' friends, like some people have it and some people don't, and we all don't end up in the same place, right? And that's the harsh reality. So, but I think we can certainly, I know we can make improvements and help people, but I don't necessarily think that everybody comes to the world with it. So, but I think a lot of it is about values though too, and I think you are born with certain values and ideas. And I don't know what my secret sauce is, other than I like having an impact on people, and also trying to provide for my family. And I also just love what I do. Like, it's kind of like being in the zone. I'm not even thinking about it. I mean, I have a practice of 9 psychologists, and it's 7:30 at night. I'm the only one here, and I have still some people tonight. So,
wow. No, I love it. Yeah.
Well, it's probably a problem. It's probably a problem too, right? to be doing that, but nobody's coaching me along to do it.
But you hit a key point about the drive that you have, and you just made me have this reflection of when being in Garmisch, Germany, when I was a second lieutenant, and this guy named General Durgans walked up and he's asking all the lieutenants, "Where do you want to be?" So everybody was airborne Rangers, want to be Special Forces, Delta, all that. He got to me, and I'll never forget this. I have no ribbons, one ribbon.
Sure.
And he goes, "What do you want to be?" I said, "I want to be you. You got a gold belt."
Boom.
I said, he goes, "Well, son, that's hard to get them. Very few people ever get there." Yeah. I said, "I understand it, but where he walked in and, he had an 8, and what you do is you have to put some target things. And I look at Jennifer and like how she excels in the business world that she does and everything. And everybody just doesn't have that candor to get out there and that ambition. And that's self-driven. And and iron sharpens iron, you know, I mean, really does.
And there's like the love of working. I mean, you have to have the love of hard work. Right. And then if you love what you do, it doesn't even seem like hard work. I mean, do you guys love working hard? I mean, you love the effort and the energy and
absolutely,
you know,
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just I mean, just building and learning and just moving.
100%. Well, I was going to say, speaking of love, I know one of your areas of expertise is love bombing. Talk to us about this phenomenon. Tell us about it. Teach us, show us the way. What is love bombing and why is it taking over the world? And you've got a t-shirt, by the way. He's got a t-shirt, a love bomb.
I do. I have a t-shirt. I mean, it's kind of like gaslighting. You know, these are just popular psychological terms that have been popularized. And I don't know why there's these movements, right? But I think it's related to narcissism, where people are always trying to figure out who's a narcissist, who's not. And they've identified that a narcissist love bombs in a relationship, right? So they will come in and convince you that you are the finest thing since sliced bread and want to spend every single moment with you, and make you fall in love with them. And then once you're moving toward them, they're, gone and they're love bombing someone else. So, I mean, that's what it is in a nutshell. Does it really happen? I think, yeah, it's what like we've done for, thousands of years when we're infatuated with somebody, but now it's somehow attached to narcissism.
Interesting. Okay.
Even though it's not.
Sure.
I probably I'm not narcissistic, and I've, done some love bombing, I'm sure. I love bomb my wife though every day. So
that's a good thing to have. I know you have a long marriage. How long have you been married, Dr. D?
21 years.
Right.
Awesome.
Ride or die, man. Ride or die.
Boom. But I mean, we're very compatible though too. So
that's really super important. And then your other merch, it says "Talk to Me." Tell me what inspires that. What does that mean?
So, I mean, I partly got that for me, but it was, as the psychologist, like, come and talk to me. But what I really did was the idea was for teenagers that had some social anxiety, for them to be able to wear that shirt and be like at a party. And it's kind of like a party favor. So it breaks the ice for other people to come and talk to them.
I like that. And I'm sure you're finding in your work, young people, the social anxiety is at an all-time high. I've seen like transitions in teens I've known for years who are now young adults who used to be super confident. COVID happened or something else happened, or they got knocked down once, and the resiliency or grit factor just didn't really, that kind of thing. So talk to me a little bit about that social anxiety as we look at, relationships. That's part of, I think, that fear of rejection, that, the anxiousness of, I don't want to get too close, or I'm scared to put myself out there. Yeah. How can we cultivate or contribute to the development of that?
So I think with COVID too, just kids being isolated for a couple of years, like almost it's an overlapping generation of kids, but they missed out developmentally on all those social interactions. So it was kind of like, they froze in time, and then, you're putting them back in, into the mix. So they're all a little delayed, any kid that kind of experienced that. So, it's just a reminder that to be good at something, you got to be practicing it all the time.
But what I'm seeing more and more trend is men's mental health, right?
Yeah.
Everything's designed, no knock on Jennifer here. Everything seems to be geared towards women. And yet we have been slow to get to the process of addressing men's mental health.
Yeah.
So could you touch on that if you don't mind?
I mean, I agree. I mean, I feel like the men are certainly being ignored. Even I would say politically too. But men, I mean, like women, are suffering too, and certainly do have the same kind of needs. But the thing is, like, now's the time, because there's a lot of access to care, and there's a lot of pop I mean, there's a lot of social acceptance about getting one's mental health needs met. So now's the time. So you guys, forgive me. I only thought I was going to be on for 30 minutes.
No, we got it. We got to close it out. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. You got to jump off right now.
Yeah.
All right, let's close it out. This was awesome. We just started the conversation. I want to thank Dr. Justin Dorenzo, who has all kinds of great opportunities for you. Get connected to him. I want to thank Vince Bugs, and I want to thank all of you for tuning in to Aspire to Inspire and Embrace the Power Production. I'm your host, Dr. Jennifer Blaylock, Chief Energy Officer, and keep looking for inspiration and aspiring to be the best version of you. Have a great day, everybody.
You guys.